StraightAllDay.com.
Business leaders must steal from elite athletes. Now, elite athletes and top business leaders live in some similar lanes. They operate in some lanes that are similar, such as in the business world, especially as a leader, and in the sports world as a player, performance is mandated. You must perform at a certain level and produce a certain level of results in order to keep your job or for your team to stay in the running for whatever it is your team's trying to achieve. One difference, however, is that athletes live with visible scoreboards that everybody can see. Now, you can see the scoreboard in every athlete's games, while many business leaders don't have everything that they do exposed to the public. All right, they have the political aspect that matters a lot in the business world. Sometimes in business, you can talk your way out of a poor performance in ways that you cannot in sports. And relationships matter a lot more in business than they do in the sports world, because you get business deals done in business through relationships in ways that relationships cannot score you points on a scoreboard in sports. But at the same time, there are some things that business people can steal from the playbook of an athlete and remove some of the wiggle room and put yourself in a space where execution is the only option, like it is in the sports world. And this could help a lot of business people step their performance up, while at the same time remembering the political and relationship games that naturally come with business still matter. So that's what we're going to talk about here today, with the understanding that, yes, there are a ton of parallels between sports and business, but they're not completely parallel in ways that I've just laid out, and some other ways I'm going to get into as we get into this episode. Point number one, today's topic, once again, is what business leaders must steal from elite athletes. Number one, the scoreboard mentality. And this is one you should definitely take from sports, all you business people. Scoreboard mentality is, well, in sports, the game is won or lost based on what the scoreboard says, period. Doesn't matter what you personally say. Doesn't matter what story you give for why it happened and how it happened. You can blame the refs. You can blame the other team. You can say you were sick. You can say it was too cold outside. You can say one of your teammates didn't do their job. You can say the fans were talking too much shit and it was annoying you. You can come up with whatever story you want. But at the end of the game, all that really matters is what it says on the scoreboard. What it says on the scoreboard determines who won. In athletics, everything is judged by that scoreboard. Wins and losses, championships, trophies. While you get to tell a story if you want to, your spin or excuses about what happened does not undo the story of the scoreboard. The scoreboard is the final, ultimate arbiter in sports, always. Business leaders can use the same approach by tracking your metrics that don't lie, and measuring yourself against those metrics rather than opinions, and doing so relentlessly. Because again, in business, the right opinions and the right relationships and the right politics can supersede poor scoreboard performance. You see this often you hear people I see this on social media, often people will point out the salary of a CEO of a company that appears to be losing money and losing stock value, but the CEO still got $25 million in pay. So what mattered on the scoreboard for that CEO, at least that particular year, had nothing to do with the money they got to take home that particular year. That's an example. Now, again, it's a very basic example because there's a lot of things that go into the value of a stock that are trailing indicators rather than direct indicators, but you can still get the point. When you hide behind activity and relationships instead of demanding outcomes, you give yourself an out clause and a possible excuse for coming up short. And again, in business, this can happen very easily. It happens all the time. And businesses are designed in this way, that not everything is directly related to the actual output and the direct result. Especially the bigger the business gets, the less the direct result is mattering, and the harder it is to even know what the direct result is that we're supposed to be going for in the first place. Because the business is designed to where it's so bloated that, okay, what is leading to what here? If you want an example of this, look at the United States government. Great example. You look at a lot of corporations, another great example. In the sports world, however, this is not allowed and is not even possible. If your team misses the playoffs 10 years in a row, then it's obvious you missed the playoffs 10 years in a row. You can't blame it on the previous regime or the previous coach or the previous players or the fans or the budget or anything. We're just losing games. You're losing. In the sports world, it's that plain. In the business world, not always. But what I'm suggesting is that if you're in the business world, apply these sports principles when it comes to measuring your outcomes. Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is what business leaders can steal from elite athletes. Number two, prior preparation. Athletes do not just show up and hope to win games. The majority of the work when you play a sport The majority of the work is practice and training, i.e. preparation. You play a sport, most of what you're doing is training. Most of what you're doing is not the games. A lot of spectators think that the majority of the work in sports is playing in games. No, it's not. That's a little bit of the work. That's actually the smallest part of it. The idea is that you want to practice with so much intensity and with so much sharpness and attention to detail such that the game feels natural or even easy to you compared to what you were doing in your training and your practice. Training should be so hard that the games are easy. In business, the same mindset of preparation is necessary. It doesn't always happen, but it's necessary. I know that there are some business people who do operate this way. They're always preparing. They're always getting ready. They train themselves ahead of the situation, same way an athlete would train themselves ahead of a game. But not all business people do this. In sports, you don't get a chance to play if you don't practice. If you're not practicing and getting yourself ready, first of all, you're going to get exposed in practice to where it shows that you're not ready to play, so you're not going to get a chance in the game. Secondly, if you're not preparing, you're going to get your ass kicked in the game if you do happen to play in the game so badly that it's going to be obvious that you weren't prepared and you weren't training. Third, your opponent's training and your peers are training. So if you're not training, then why would you even get a chance? Answer is you won't. So if you play without practicing, you get exposed badly. Even the best athletes out there, if you're not practicing to be at your sharpest, you can still end up getting beat by somebody else who is at their sharpest. And there are examples of this. Athletes who come back, maybe let's say off an injury. So they're not quite sharp yet. They don't have their timing down yet. They can get beat. Athlete coming back from retirement and coming back, they haven't really gotten to their peak form yet. Think Michael Jordan when he came back from baseball. He was still pretty good, but not so amazing that he could just take over at the snap of a finger like he was doing before he left. It was a small difference, but it was enough of a difference that his opponent could beat him then. Then when he got back to being sharp again, he went and started winning again. So in business, you want to get yourself prepared ahead of time the same way you would in sports. That means every client meeting, every sales pitch, every ordeal should feel, every sales pitch or every deal that you're negotiating or working on should feel easier than the practice you've gone through because you were prepared ahead of time for the situation. Remember that the hallmark of being a professional is discipline, and one of the keys to discipline is prior preparation. When you know something's coming up, you get ready for it before the situation occurs. You don't wait until the situation occurs and then get ready. Professional salespeople prepare and train for sales conversations. Professional athletes prepare and train for games. If you're a professional in your business, whatever your business happens to be, you need to prepare and train for what you're doing. If you're doing a presentation, you should prepare and train for that presentation long before the time of the actual presentation so that you can show up and do the presentation the way the presentation is supposed to be done. So this is a byproduct of your discipline, is to always be prepared for the situation. And again, in business, you can oftentimes get away with not doing this. In sports, you can never get away with it. So that's why I'm telling you, again, raising the bar, raising the standards, those of you in business. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, is what business leaders can steal from elite athletes. Number 3, discipline over motivation. Motivation is great, but no athlete or business professional is always motivated. I don't care who you are. None of you listening to this right now, I don't care what you do for a living, is always motivated. Nobody's motivated every day. All of you have felt motivation. All of you may appreciate the concept of motivation. If you want to get my daily motivation text every day, text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Text the word motivation. But despite the fact that motivation is good, despite the fact that there are many sources of motivation and people who will give motivation and people who like having the feeling of being motivated, there is no one who always feels motivated. No matter how much motivation there is out there, you will not feel motivated every single time you have to do something. But when you are a professional, you do the job anyway. That's what makes you a professional, is that you do the job anyway, even though you're not feeling motivated. Those who can bring themselves to give their best effort when they least feel like it, these are the ones who become the leaders. All right, this is what you do when you're not feeling so motivated, or even if you're not even looking to feel motivated. Almost most days when I'm getting up and going about my work, whether that's going to the gym, working out, doing my business, recording this show, writing, whatever it is that I'm doing, I don't even think about if I'm motivated or not. If I happen to have some additional surplus energy, motivation, if you will, great. But if I don't have any, the job is still going to get done. The show is still coming out. The article is still getting written. The things that need to be published are still going to get published. The workout is still going to happen. Everything's still going to happen the exact same way, regardless of how I feel. Why? Because that's discipline over motivation. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation shows up every now and then, it stays for a few days, and it goes back home. Discipline lives with you. It never goes away. It's there all the time. It's there when you go to sleep. It's there right by your bed when you wake up. The highest level performers dominate through discipline, not through motivation. But interestingly enough, what you'll notice is that a lot of people who call themselves professionals and a ton of amateurs go around looking for motivation when what they really need is discipline. So you don't have to look for discipline. You got to look for motivation. Discipline doesn't have to be looked for. It's right there. Do your job and do it consistently. Do it every time. You ain't got to look for it. It's not running away. It's right there waiting for you if you want it, if you're willing to take it, and if you're willing to use it. Those who can bring themselves to give their best effort when they least feel like it are those who dominate. Those are the pros. Those are the consistent pros. Those are the highest level pros. What makes someone a high level pro is not they have more talent than everybody else necessarily. They may have a lot of talent, but that's not what makes them a high level pro. What makes somebody a high level pro is their ability to continually show up and perform at a consistent high level over and over and over again, even at times when they don't really feel like it, and even in times where the situation is not set up for them optimally to perform. It's not optimally set up for their performance. They still perform. That's the high level pro. Now, the question is, how do you become this person? You become this person through discipline, not through talent. You become this person through discipline, not talent. Right now, starting his record 23rd NBA season is a guy named LeBron James. All of you have heard of LeBron James. What makes LeBron James a legendary player in basketball is not necessarily his stats, even though some of his biggest fans will point to his stats. That's not really what it is. It's not because of his highlights, even though, again, some fans will point to his highlights. It's not his talent, even though he has a ton of talent. It's the fact that he's been very consistent at performing at the level at which he performs. He's been able to do it night in and night out for I believe this is his 23rd NBA season when you're listening to this, when this episode is coming up. And that's what makes him great, is that he did it over and over and over and over again for so long. There are other players who have had stretches of games like LeBron's everyday game, but they haven't been able to do it for doing it year upon year upon year. When you do it year upon year and you start stacking it, that's when you become a legend. It's the same thing for those of you in the business world. It's the same thing for any of you playing any sport. It doesn't matter if it's basketball or not, or anything else you do. Can you deliver at a level that people appreciate and do it consistently all the time, including the inevitable times when you don't feel like doing it, but you still get it done? That's what makes you a professional. Now, if you happen to have talent and you happen to be very good, that's fine. Again, there are people who have talent and are very good who don't do this because they don't have the discipline. It's the discipline that separates people. It's not the talent. The talent can get you in the room. There is a baseline level of talent you may need to even get in the room at the professional level of what you do. But assuming that you have enough talent to get in the room, now what separates you from everybody else in there? Because everybody has talent. What separates you is the discipline. Discipline plus talent equals legendary potential. You have potential to be a legend when you're disciplined and talented. When you're just talented with no discipline, well, you can be a flash, but you're not going to last long. If you're disciplined with no talent, well, we won't be talking about you because you might not make it to the pro level in the first place. All right, leaders in any space who rely on motivation get left behind. If you want your team to be motivated, they get left behind. A lot of times when I'm working with sales teams and they bring me in, the sales manager or owner will bring me in to talk to the sales team, the main thing he wants me to ingrain in his team is not motivation. So yeah, give them some motivation, a little pick me up for now, but what they really need is some discipline, Dre. I need them to show up and consistently deliver because that's really what's going to matter, because you ain't going to be here next Tuesday. I need them to show up next Tuesday with the same energy that you're going to imbue in them so that they show up even when somebody like you is not in front of them, giving them a shot in the arm of caffeine. That's what they want. And that's what everybody needs. Motivation isn't always there. Again, I don't care what source of motivation you got. You will not be motivated every day. It won't happen. Discipline ensures that you do the work on the days that you don't want to be working at all. Days you'd rather be sleeping. Doing the work on those days gives you a mental and performance edge that separates you from others in your space who may be just as skilled, just as experienced, and have just as much resources as you. And at the pro level, they often do. The slight edge of discipline makes all the difference when everybody has talent. So the question is, what you want to do here? Where you want to be? All that said, let's recap today's class, which is what business leaders must steal from elite athletes. There are many parallels between the business and sports worlds. There are some big differences. Then I'm going to tell you the things that athletes do that every business person should use. And if you have a team, you should have them using this stuff. Number one is the scoreboard mentality. In sports, everything comes down to the scoreboard. You cannot explain it away. You cannot politic it away. You cannot relationship away the fact that your team's lost 5 games in a row. In business, there's a way you can paper over that through relationships. You cannot do that in business. Number 2, prior preparation. The hallmark of a professional is discipline, and prior preparation is one of the hallmarks of discipline. Doing your homework, being ready before the situation, not waiting until the situation occurs to get yourself ready. Number 3, discipline over motivation. Motivation is a visitor, discipline is a resident. Motivation will not be there every day for anyone. I don't care who you are, how motivated you consider yourself to be, or whatever your source of motivation. Discipline is always going to show up regardless of who you are, if you are a disciplined person. And discipline is a decision. It is not a talent. It is not something you find. It is not something that comes and gets you. It is a decision that you make. I wrote a whole book on this concept. It's called The Third Day. Get it at thirddaybook.com, or just text the number 3. The number 3 to my number, 305-384-6894. All of you who is ready to take these tools that the elite athletes use and start applying them in your professional and business life. That is really what Work on Your Game is all about. Taking all the stuff that I learned and I pulled out of my sports experience and pouring it into the business and professional world, which is the type of people that I work with today. So if you have a sales team, you as an entrepreneur, you as a business professional want to step up your game, step up your leadership, step up your discipline, and step up your weaponized discipline and dominance, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and start working with me. Work on your game. Dre, all